4 ways to take pantry staples and make something delicious. Bread edition. Do y'all remember when we made biscuits? Okay.
I've been watching Danita Platt's videos. I saw the one about biscuits, and I didn't have any heavy cream, but I do have flour, baking powder, salt, sugar, eggs, and water. I really didn't want to look up a recipe because her whole thing is skill building. Like, you have to understand the chemistry of how food works, and then you can put any ingredients together that you want, and it's all the basic ingredients. It's edible. It's not bad. So I felt so confident about that. I'm apparently making jam.
I could not love this more if I tried. Okay, because this is skill building. Recipes are fine, but recipes don't build skills. Okay, so Teresa had these ingredients: all-purpose flour, baking powder, salt, eggs, and water. With her list of ingredients, what did she make? Any ideas? If you said a quick bread, you're right. She made a quick bread. Because guess what? If she had added sugar to this and a little bit of fat, she would have had a cake. Okay, let's get into it. Here are Teresa's ingredients. I added fat and sugar, and then we're going to talk about the job that these ingredients do. Okay, all-purpose flour structure. That's the gluten in the flour. We're going to develop it for more structure. Underdeveloped gluten, less structure, more tender. Water for hydration. Okay, baking soda for leavening. That's for rising. Salt, flavor enhancement. This is important. Salt for flavor, not salt for saltiness. Very important. Eggs, structure and richness. That's the egg white and the egg yolk for structure and richness. Fat, texture and flavor. Butter, right? Oil, flaxseed. Sugar, tenderness and sweetness. And you might say, well, Danita, what do I do with all that? And then I'm going to say, well, we got to decide what you want to make. So we answer this question by answering what kind of texture do you want. And you have 2 choices. You can have a batter or you can have a dough. So your batters are going to be loose and pourable for like cakes or spoon breads. Your dough is going to be firm and moldable for biscuits or yeast breads. Then do you want it sweet or do you want it savory? Okay, so you're going to keep all these ingredients for a cake. Your flour, baking soda, and salt are your dry ingredients. Put all those together in one bowl. Then your water, eggs, fat, and sugar are wet ingredients. Put all those together in another bowl. I know some people will say it's not necessary, but starting out, I'm going to say do it that way so you don't end up with clumps of baking powder in your batter because it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. This also helps you not to overwork your batter and develop gluten. So mix your wet and your dry separately. Now we're adding fat to this because the fat's going to coat the protein in the flour and help the gluten not to develop. The sugar is going to fight with the flour, compete with the flour for the water, the moisture that you've added, the milk or the water, and that's going to help keep your cake moist. If you use butter, soften it, do the fat and sugar together, mix that together, cream that together, then add your eggs, add everything else in. If you use oil, you don't have to do all that. Cook it on 350 until the fork poked in the middle comes out clean and the top is kind of brown a little bit. All right. We're building skills. It doesn't have to be perfect. Settle down. We're building skills. Okay. Now, if you say I want to do a batter, but I want a quick bread, then I'm going to say leave out the sugar, add in some herbs, cheese, or some spices. We're also going to do something a little different with the fat. We want to use cold butter, right, for our fat. So we want to put our dry ingredients together, the flour, baking powder, and the salt, and then we're going to take that cold fat and press it into that flour, right, until it's all pressed in there. Then we'll add in our wet ingredients. Go ahead and cook it. 375 till the fork comes out clean, the top is browned a little bit. Now you might say, I don't want a batter, Nita, I want a dough. So then my question is going to be, do you want a dough that rises quickly, or do you want a dough that's going to take longer to rise? If you want a quick dough, we're talking about something like biscuits and you don't need yeast. We're going to stick with our all-purpose flour, switch out that water for milk, baking powder, salt, no eggs, fat, we want butter, okay, and no sugar. We're going to do the same thing we did for the savory, dry ingredients together, press the cold butter into the dry ingredients, add in your wet ingredients. Cook it on 425. You're looking for a slight bounce and a slightly browning top. It's not going to brown too much because you don't have sugar in there. It's not going to caramelize, right? And when you touch the top, you just want it to kind of spring back a tiny bit. You cook biscuits high and fast because you want the butter to melt really, really quickly, and that helps the steam, the water in the butter, to steam and help the biscuits to rise. Now, if you say, no, Danita, I have time for a long rise, then I'm going to say, let's do a yeast bread, all right? We're going to take out the eggs, the fat, and the sugar. We don't need any of that. We just need 4 ingredients. We need all-purpose flour, water, yeast, not baking powder, and salt. Okay, now this one is actually more forgiving than the other ones. You can believe it. So we're going to start here with our dry ingredients, and I'm going to say For every 3 cups of flour, try a teaspoon of yeast and a teaspoon of salt. Then we're going to add our water. Now, it's important that your water is no warmer than like room temp. It does not need to be hot water because you don't want to kill your yeast. Secondly, with the water, we're talking about hydration, and this is where you get to kind of play around a little bit. Because the more hydrated a dough is, the softer and tackier it's going to be, right? So when we think about bagels, right? Bagels are dense, heavy, the bubbles inside are really small. That is a low hydration dough. When we think about focaccia, right? Big bubbles, really, really fluffy, right? That's a high hydration dough. So put in as much water as you kind of want the texture of the bread to be. But to start out, put in enough water for it to be tacky. You're going to mix it with a spoon, okay? It's going to be tacky. That's important. All right, set it in a warm place. Put a towel or a piece of saran wrap over it and let it sit there for like 12 hours. Yeah, like 12 hours. Then you're going to preheat your oven. Put the dough into a oven-safe container and go ahead and cook it. It's done when it's browned and the bottom of it is hollow when you knock against it. When you knock against the bottom, it'll sound hollow. Now I'm going to say this. Food does not have to be picture perfect. These are bagels that I made. This one came out weird. Looks weird. It tasted delicious. It tasted just fine. You're building skills. Go ahead and practice. You have the list of the ingredients and the job that they do. Go ahead and follow your instincts, okay? You got this. I believe in you. I'm cheering you on. Tag me in the stuff you make because I want to see it, okay? Remember, home's a skill. Care is a skill. Skill building is a skill. Keep working on yours. I love you.